Hey everybody, happy Freeform Friday. How's everybody doing wherever you are out in the wilds of the internet? I hope that everyone had a fantastic... I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see that comment. Anyway, I hope everyone had a fantastic day. We had a great Friday here at the Beading Dreams. It is a little chilly here in Dallas still, but definitely, oh, hi people. Hey, the people came.
Hey!
I was like, I'm gonna start, even though there's only, I think, Ace and Heather, but now there are more of you. So hi people, hi friends. How's everybody doing? Hope everyone had a good Friday. Hope everyone is ready for the weekend.
Apparently only Ace's computer is in the future enough
to actually catch me. Hi Cindy. Catch me when I come on. Alright, so it's Freeform Friday. That means that I pick a project that is interesting to me and I'm going to attempt to do it start to finish on stream. I'm feeling torchy today since I missed Torch Thursday, yesterday since I wasn't feeling well, so this is a project that I've been wanting to try for a long time. And it may be above my skill level, so we may wind up with an episode of Allison Screws Up on the Internet. We shall see. But my goal here is to create, and this is not my photo, I did not make this piece. My goal is to create something sort of similar to this, with the kind of wire embellishments, a little bit of granulation work, a little leafy bit that I'm going to cut out of my sterling silver. And I have this, oh, sorry Heather.
Oh no!
Say hi to the people.
Hi!
I can't, there's too much cord.
Oh dear.
My mouse was trapped. Okay, now you're off. I saw with my head up. Oops. I really need to remember to turn the Heather cam off after the sale streams, like before I shut down the computer. But anyway, so I have this pretty chrome dioxide doublet that I'm going to use. A doublet, for anybody who's not familiar, is actually two pieces of stone that are, well, turbo kettles are a good reason to miss the start of the stream, Lori. But a doublet is two pieces of stone that are glued together. So this is a slice of chrome dioxide on the bottom, and then it's got a rose cut piece of clear quartz on the top of it, which I like because it gives it, you know, this nice kind of faceted-y, shiny look. And it's also a little bit more sturdy on the top since I tend to be an abuser of jewelry. It's nice to have a little bit more protection on there. So I'm going to start by trying to set this stone in some stepped bezel. So we did a stepped bezel class quite a while ago. So stepped bezel is this wire that's formed with this kind of bump out right here. So what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to essentially make you a seat for your stone. It's whilst sparing you the trouble of having to actually make a bezel, solder it down to a back plate, and then saw out the back. This is especially nice because as any of you who actually fabricate with, I'm sorry, for some reason I am too far away from my, you would think with the size of the streaming area that it would be literally impossible for me to be too far away from my table, and yet I managed to do it.
Here we are.
But anyway, as any of you who fabricate with metal know, silver's not inexpensive, and it just keeps getting more and more expensive. And so, you know, to take a sheet of silver, make a bezel, solder it down to it, you know, yes, you can cut out the middle of, you know, the back of that sheet and use that for something else, but you're still, you know, just the nature of the project is wasting a fair amount of silver. And so the stepped bezel is a much less wasteful way to handle this. However, I have concerns. I'm starting out with concerns, so we all know this is going to go great. It's just going to go fantastically well. I have concerns that my stepped bezel might not be quite, like, it's right on the border of being just barely tall enough for this stone. So basically what I'm saying here is I may finish this entire project and my stone may fall right out of my bezel. Now, since I am not a properly trained metalsmith, you know what I'm going to do if that happens? I'm going to glue it in. But that's not technically proper jewelry construction, so we're going to try and do it the right way first.
It is using the tools that are available to you.
Well, I mean, it is using the tools to keep yourself sane. Okay, so I'm going to start by taking my stepped bezel, and I'm just going to oh, that's the other thing about the step bezel. This is something else that I discovered the last time I was working with this is the bezel part of it, in my opinion, is really thick and kind of hard to bend. So what I did is I took my flex shaft and I actually sanded down this top part that is the bezel that's going to fold over my stone. I thinned it out so that it's not quite so thick, so that it'll be easier to fold over my stone. So I'm going to take my stepped bezel and I'm going to just bend it around my stone. And it's a little stiff, it's a little hard to bend, so you just kind of have to go with it. The good news is I think it is going to be just barely tall enough to hold in my stone, so that's exciting. Heather's not wrong. This is really a pretty piece of rock. I like you a lot. Rocks, it's true. It's multiple rocks in one.
It's very pretty.
And I just need something to push.
Would make my eyes look really nice.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, well, I had gotten you something else for Christmas.
Oh, well.
And then Amazon lost half of your Christmas present.
What? Rude.
Yeah, right? I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Yes,
It's-
everyone in chat is
it's the sword chat. It's true. Everyone has the swords.
We all like to whip them out.
Don't go whipping out your swords in front of Lori's daughter. It's rude.
She's an adult.
Fair, but I still don't think one should be, whipping out swords in front of unconsenting people, whether they're adults or not.
That's totally fair. Of course, the only sword I have is virtual.
Okay, so now...
It's so hush your mouth.
Lightsaber.
I do have
It's
a lightsaber.
true, you could whip out your lightsaber.
I could. Ah!
Okay, so I'm going to trim this, and then I'm going to form it a little bit better. I may have to trim it a little bit more. So I'm going to flush cut that. I know, right? We're back to the pointy stabby stream. Pliers. Hi, Corvus. Yes, exactly. No sword whipping unless it is requested. Specifically. Okay, so I cut that a little bit big. It's really important with this that you have a tight fit. We're just gonna ride right on past that and trim this off a little bit more. Oh, like why aren't these cutting? Because these are the store ones that came with the messed up blades. Like, it's just squishing the metal. That's not how it's supposed to work.
Oh, the Tronics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I need to remember that this stone is not symmetrical. So I need to remember which way it fits in. Okay, so the little chippy bit is on the left-hand side, opposite the seam. Okay, that I think is the right size. So now we're going to go ahead and file that joint and solder it shut. So solder will not flow across a gap, so we need to just true up this joint with a file to get rid of the burrs left by our wire cutter. Since this is harder to form around our stone than regular bezel strip is, I'm gonna, I usually say it's gonna get uglier before it gets prettier, and at this point it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what shape it gets because we're going to reshape it after we solder it. Okay, that is not true in this case. It's going to be a lot harder to reshape this, so we want to try and preserve that shape that we've made as much as possible. So I'm just going to use my pliers to sort of bring that down and bring it past to get a good tension fit. I may have to do a little bit of reshaping, but it's not terrible. It's not going to be terrible. However, I did an absolute crap job on filing. Look at that. There's a giant gap there. Huge.
I can totally
It's like
see
the
it.
thigh gap of the century. You will be able to see it when it goes on the camera in a minute. It's huge.
I still don't know.
Possibly if I actually looked at my work instead of looking at the camera, that might be helpful.
Okay, even I can see that. You're right.
See, I told you it was giant. Sorry, y'all. You don't get to see this because apparently I can't do it right if I put it under the camera. Oh, sometimes it's all about the angle.
I can't believe that. Well, okay, no one's reacted to that yet, but.
See, there she goes. Hey, Tallyfet, welcome to the stream. How you feeling, hon? Tallyfet's under the weather,
but is COVID negative.
but is not under the weather with COVID. Yay!
That is awesome to hear, Tallyfet.
That's super awesome to hear. Okay, so now we are going to good lord. I promise y'all I actually don't suck at this.
I know.
People pay me to teach them this stuff.
It's true. I can't solder anything without you looking at it.
Though there are definitely, there we go. There are good filing days and there are bad filing days. Like there are days when the edges just won't line up for love nor money. And then there are other days where it's just like, bing, here we are. Like, okay, cool.
I don't have that kind of filing day, but it's good to know other people might.
I do occasionally. It's like, you know, the little baby Jesus comes down and blesses my filing. Okay, now we're going to solder this together.
I just assumed he had better things going on. So he just hates me.
Yep, it's true.
Okay.
The little baby Jesus hates you, Heather.
Well, that makes sense.
He likes me, the godless heathen, way better than he likes you, the actual Christian.
Yeah. I guess it depends on what kind of Christian you are.
Alright, so now I'm going to flex this.
Hey, it's a Megan.
Oh, hey, Megan. Yes, the stream as a whole, myself included, seems to be feeling better. Yes, mine, I'm pretty sure, was just an epically terrible allergy attack. No! Don't fall down. Oh, dear. So, massive doses of Benadryl, and then, of course, the resulting coma that happens when you take massive doses of Benadryl, have succeeded in getting me right as rain again. Or something like that. So I'm starting with medium solder because this is my first joint on my piece. So I've got my piece of medium solder there. It's a little bit big, but alright. Flux that. And then I'm going to heat my solder, ball it up. There we go. So you'll see it suck into a little ball. And this is medium solder, because this is my first joint of the piece. I don't remember if I said that or not. So I want to make sure that I don't blow this joint when I'm doing the rest of my soldering. Okay, so that's my joint soldered together. My first joint, yes, one down, yes, lots to go. Make sure I put my solder pick down somewhere where I'm not going to burn my table. And I do want to set this aside for a minute, let it cool, and make sure that it fits my stone before I go onward, because if it doesn't fit my stone, now is when I want to make that adjustment or even start over if I have to. But trust me, it's a real kick in the balls when you get to the end of the project and you go to put your stone in and you're like, well, crap.
Allison said balls.
I did, in fact, say balls and crap. So if you're playing the drinking game, go ahead and drink. My preference, Lori, is actually to pick solder pretty much all of the time. I teach the other way because it's a little easier for people to grasp. Hi, Amy! Hi, Amy's mama!
Oh my goodness!
Thanks for dropping in.
How fun!
Amy said she can't stay because her mama's visiting, but she wanted to say hi.
Hi, Smee and Smee's mama.
We love you too. Alright, so I think the answer is... Oh, it's so close. so close, but it does in fact fit. Oh, come on, go in there.
Carol May looks very fancy in that coat.
Yes, okay, my stone does fit in there, so yeehaw. That's not the right button. So yeehaw for that. Ta-da! But yeah, so I'm a pick transfer solderer just generally, but it's easier for beginners and even intermediates a lot of times to grasp placing the solder. So I tend to teach the other way, even though my personal preference is to pick transfer. Okay, so that's my setting. So now I'm going to carefully pop my stone out of it, trying not to deform it while I do that. Haha, I did it. Okay, now I'm going to start making some of my little design elements. So look at my reference photo. So, alright, so what we've got in, if we go to the reference photo, is we've got one that kind of, that's not the right button, one that kind of swoops around and goes up to sort of make the bail. We've got one that swoops around with the little leaf, and then there's another one that kind of goes on top of those and curls on top. We're going to see if I've got enough wire to make all of those. I just have a couple of scraps of 16 gauge wire. And a project like this is a really good project for your scraps and your little bits and pieces. Like there's not a whole lot, you know, that you can do with 4 inches of 16 gauge wire, but this is a really good way to use it up. So I'm going to start with that one that kind of curls around and goes up and makes the bail on the top. I'm just going to take that, and I want to, so one of the cool things in this photo is the way that the artist who made this piece has finished all of the edges really nicely. So this one I'm going to file off at an angle, and then we're going to actually solder our little granulation to that, and I'm going to go around, and this is one of the times where it's nice that the stepped bezel is a little sturdier. Sorry, helps if it's on camera. A little sturdier than regular bezel, because there's no way I could press against a regular bezel like this. It would just collapse. But the step bezel is very sturdy. Since I want to solder this onto this bezel, okay, this is no bueno here. I don't think it would, Lori, because with this particular stepped bezel, because the stone just barely fits in there, I feel like it would fall out. Okay, so I'm just going to bend that. Okay, so not too bad. You could anneal this wire if you wanted to, if you needed to make it softer, if you wanted to make it softer. I am a lazy ass when it comes to annealing. I don't usually anneal anything. And by lazy ass, I mean somebody who makes things way harder than they need to be. Okay, so alright, so we're gonna go with that. So this is a little further over than I wanted it to be, but that's alright. I'm gonna go ahead and solder my 3 little granules right, yeah, make 3. In 3 different sizes, descending sizes, and I'm gonna put them right here, 1, 2, 3, and I think that's gonna look pretty spifferific, if I do say so myself. And then this is gonna get cut off and bent to make my bail. And what I'm doing right now, aside from staring at my project, is I'm trying to figure out, do I want to do this step by step? And I think I do. I think I want to actually build this project like from piece by piece, which means that now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solder this on. I'm going to knock all of my cameras and all of my lights, all the king's horses and all the king's men. But so, you know, if I were going to be a little more efficient about this project, meaning if I had, say, done this project before and I kind of had a better sense of how it went together, then I could absolutely build all of my pieces and then solder them together much more efficiently, but since I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pantalones here, we're gonna go ahead and just build this baby step by step. So now I'm gonna take this little piece of wire that I just made, I'm gonna solder it onto my bezel. So this is the back of my stepped bezel that I have created. So I'm going to solder on the back, that way if I get any solder run over, it's on the back and not the front. I'm gonna step down to easy solder for this one, and I'm gonna do I think, and I'm gonna pick transfer. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4 small pieces. Helps if you don't put your wire cutter under your solder board, and I mean by small I mean actually legitimately small this time. And I'm gonna flux those. 1, 3, 4. And then we are just gonna heat them and transfer them on. And ideally, solder this baby together. So I'm gonna heat this whole thing till my flux turns clear, and then I'm just gonna pick up my solder pieces one by one and transfer them over. I'm just going to let my solder suck up into a little ball and then just grab it on my pick. And then if you just put some heat on the metal, the solder is going to naturally go towards the heat. So it will almost of its own accord come off of your pick and stick to your metal. So now we're going to see if I can get that to flow just by heating my metal and then focusing on the solder balls, and there we go. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and 4. Okay, so I don't think it's completely attached on this side, but I think that I'm okay with that. I think that's going to be alright. Okay, so that's my first little embellishment. Now, I screwed up a little bit over here. My wire is actually soldered onto my bezel, the part that needs to roll over my stone. That is not workable, because if my wire is soldered onto that, I can't roll my bezel over my stone. So I'm going to turn it right side up, and I'm going to heat it. I'm just going to see if I can push that down a bit. It's all good. Like, the bezel's free all the way around here. It's just on this side here that I got it stuck on the wire. There we go. Fantabulous. Yeah, that looks good. That's exactly what I needed it to do, so yay for that. Okay, so now this is hot, so be careful. I'm going to do my next embellishment, which is going to be my little bit that's going to come around and have my leaf on it. So while this is cooling, I'm going to knock over my torch, and I'm going to light everything on fire.
Oh, good.
And I'm going to make that little leaf shape. So I have just a little piece of... You were worried that it was going to be a soldering stream and I wasn't going to light anything on fire? I don't think that's what she's actually worried about, folks. Okay, so I'm going to take this little piece, and again, this is a really good way to use up a scrap of sheet silver. Also, don't be wasteful, Allison. So I'm just going to make my little leaf shape, and I am really bad at drawing, in case you didn't notice that right there. But what I've discovered on things like this is it doesn't really matter so much. As long as you get something that's approximately the same shape as a leaf, people's minds will just say leaf and they'll, you know, go for it. So I'm just going to cut this out with my metal shears. This, I think, is a piece of 24 gauge sheet metal. Honestly, It wasn't labeled in my box, so I was just kind of guessing. Yes, I could get a gauge plate out if I wanted to, but I am, again, as previously stated, lazy. This is very small. Okay, so that is my basic little leaf shape. I'm going to use my file to just kind of clean up my edges on that, because I did have to resort to sort of nipping it off with the shears. Also, no pointy stabbies. Okay, make sure you not, well, okay, everyone needs pointy stabbies except for me. Make sure you knock off the top of that leaf. I'm serious, I don't have a sword. I'm the only one in the chat without a sword. It's really unfair. And okay, so there's my basic little leaf shape. It really is just that simple. Now I'm going to continue using my file, and what I want to do is I want to taper the end of this wire just a bit so it'll have a nice kind of lay like the center vein of my leaf. So I'm just going to file the end of my wire in kind of a long skinny point. There are also ways that you can do this with a hammer. You can forge it down to a point. I'm not very good at that, which is why I'm using a file instead. But if you're better with a hammer than I am, then you go with your bad self. Come on. Okay, so that's my little pointy bit, and so now I'm going to solder that down to my leaf shape. This is cool, so I can touch that, take that off of my board, put my little leafy on my board, flux it, make sure to flux my wire. And again, this is still 16 gauge wire that I'm working with here. It is being a pain in my butt. Ha! Got it. Okay, so now I'm still on easy solder at the moment. I just need the weeest, most bitty piece because I don't want a whole lot of solder overflow, because that's not going to be very pretty. So see, very small, small solder piece. Okay, so now that is soldered on, and I have my little leaf bit. Now you could absolutely use this to make head pins, to make leaf head pins, to make, you know, little charms or pendants. Like, there's a lot of applications for this particular very, very simple technique. Okay, so once again, we need to wait for this to cool. It's not cool yet.
You are, though.
Aw, thanks, Heather.
I'm here for you.
Heather said I'm cool, y'all.
It's true.
Okay, while I'm waiting for this to cool, I'm just going to check in with my reference photo. Okay, so this is going to be on this side, and it's going to get So it's going to be on this side, and it's going to get soldered around the outside of this. Okay, once again, I don't want to solder it to that stepped bezel because I'm not going to be able to push that over my stone. So I'm just going to curve this around the outside.
This is so cool.
What?
What you doing?
Oh, thank you. And I think what I might actually do when I get my stone in is I might actually bend that over and kind of overlay it on top of my stone. So it's kind of sticking out in a very derpy fashion right now. My plan is to fix that. You're sticking out in a derpy fashion?
Usually.
Fair. Really?
Why are you?
And I think I want to finish this.
They stopped.
They did stop. Okay. So I could actually just finish this off by tucking it behind here, which I think is what I'm going to do. I'm just trimming it off. Okay, so what I have is this. So this is, I think, going to get bent over the stone once the stone's in there. And then this is going to get bent around and tucked behind there. I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to solder this part, and then I'm going to do a little bit more of that bending. Because it's going to be way easier for me to bend that if I've got it anchored, tacked in place with some solder. So again, more easy solder. Thanks, Megan. Yeah, I'm hashtag spoiler alert. I don't think I'm going to put the stone in this tonight because I want to put it in the tumbler and get it nice and shiny. So I may wind up setting the stone on a future stream, or you just may have to imagine. Use your imaginations.
You could post it in Discord.
I could post it in Discord. Okay, so once again, my goal here is to kind of tack solder this together right here on the bottom so that I have some place that's steady that I can use as kind of a fulcrum to finish my bending. Now notice the more metal I get attached to this, the longer it's taken my solder to flow. That's just because it is harder for my torch to heat the metal when there's more metal. What if you're Corvus?
That isn't true.
If I was gonna say anybody had a broken imagination, it would definitely not be you, ever.
No, I was just on your stream last night, woman.
Maybe your imagination is just being lazy. Maybe it needs a vacay. I can get, I can get behind imaginations needing vacay. Okay, where's my squish? Sorry, my squish cat was sitting on top of my bench block. This is a good trick that actually the gal who first taught me how to solder showed me, is if you take your, of course you can have a cup of water and you can quench it, but I can never remember quench water, never. So if you put it on a steel bench block, it'll leach the heat out of it pretty quickly so that you can, and not quite that quickly, but pretty quickly so that you can handle it and keep working on it. While I'm waiting for that to cool, I think I'm going to go ahead and make my granules. So this is my favorite trick for making granules that are pretty. If you've ever tried to make granules with sterling silver, you probably have noticed that I can't get into this cigar box. You probably noticed that they're kind of lumpy and bumpy and not very pretty. And that is what happens when you use sterling silver to make granules. So if you use fine silver, which I usually just use some of my bezel strip, you'll get prettier granules. They'll be nice and smooth and shiny. So I'm gonna cut 3 different sizes because, like I said, I want to do them graduated sizes. So I'm gonna cut 3 different pieces of my bezel that are, as previously stated, 3 different sizes. And this is actually really fun. Making granules is fun and is a really nice cathartic end to your metalsmithing day, especially if you've been having problems. We're literally just going to melt this. So I'm just going to heat the whole thing up and just focus on the end. And it's just going to start melting and balling up. It's really a fun process. See? Bingo! That ball's a little bigger than I expected. I think I might save that for another project. Now the one thing that you do want to do is you want to make sure that you grab your little granules before they get like welded to your soldering board. So, but that one turned out a little large. Yes, that's a large ball. So I think I'm going to make that for another project, and this is going to be my large ball. So satisfying. Alright, I think that'll work. So that's my large ball. Now this is my medium ball. Hey Pam! Yes! Oh my god, making balls out of your scraps is amazing. So much fun. And it's kind of tricky because you gotta grab it like once the surface is solidified, but before it gets stuck to your solder board. Alright, and then this is my last one. This is gonna be my small ball. What did Corvus say? It does, it's true. Don't touch the melty things. Yeah. If the metal is melty, no touchy. It's like no touch the fishy. Okay, so now that this is cool, I can finish bending this around in the back. So what I'm gonna try to do here is just tuck it behind to finish it off. So that's not something that I'm really planning to be very pretty. It's just sort of a finish off of that, and I will go ahead and file that down. Oh my god, got 9.9 inches of snow. No thank you. Hard pass. Oh, Turbo, don't eat the beads. It's true. That is a really big blob of solder because there was some solder on my solder board already, and it just kind of all sucked into one big giant mass. Cool. And we're gonna see if I want to do that third accent or if I just want to solder on my spheres or half spheres and be done. Yes, thankfully my new little Missy Kitty has not discovered beads yet. That's hot. That was just in my torch. That's not cool yet. It is coldish here for now. which I know you like.
I do.
I am not a fan. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I think that one's too big too. Okay, maybe it's just gonna be a one ball pendant. It's one of those things that worked well in my head, but I'm having a little trouble figuring out how to execute. So I think I might just do the one granule there. Everyone's like, stop staring at it and do something. So it's oofda. It's I'm making bleh. Gotta make sure that I don't compromise this bezel because I've got to bend it over. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do one. So this is what I'm thinking is gonna happen with the leaf once I get the stone in there. I want to make sure it's out of the way because I don't want to solder it to anything at this point. And yeah, I think I'm going to put that right on that little gap right there. So this is going to be easier, first of all, if I can locate myself some kind of tweezers. So tweezers are like the one tool that I never seem to be able to hang on to because I'm forever carrying them places and leaving them there. Okay, well, I'm going to sweat some solder onto the back of my, where are you? Alright, my little granule, I'm going to sweat some solder onto the back. I may as well flux where I'm going to put that as well. Yeah, the problem, Megan, is it's hard to solder the balls onto just a single piece of wire. They tend to be tipsy, like they've had too many margaritas. Y'all are just bad tonight.
I'm over here.
Well, you're also on my computer screen being bad. Alright, so sweat solder onto there, and now I'm going to position that on top of that little V. There. Okay, so this is this is a bit precarious. I really need to be careful with it. Grr. Camera, why are you out of focus? Tell me I did not melt you. Okay, this whole corded mouse thing is like not my friend. Not perfect, but slightly better. Okay, so now we're going to you just now notice that the discussion has gone south? I mean, Yeah.
Maybe he was going southwestern? I don't know.
I think the discussion started going south when somebody mentioned balls, and that was pretty much it. Alright, so I'm going to heat this until, in theory, that solder reflows and joins that ball onto its little wiry friends. Oh, y'all are the best. Okay, I'm going to let that cool down. I'm going to do one more little curly bit. Probably not. I mentioned balls. Well,
You are in charge here. Who did that? I don't know.
I don't know. Who let me... Wait, who let me be in charge? Who decided I should be in charge?
You did.
Whoever they are should be fired.
You bought a store.
I should never be in charge of anything, ever. Never.
Unsupervised. Look what happened.
Right? Okay, I'm gonna... Right. Okay, I am gonna do one... I think I'm gonna do one more little curly bit. And I'm gonna ball up the end of my head pin. Yes, I said balls again. Get over it.
That's okay.
I'm gonna make a ball on the end of my head pin. You're probably not gonna be able to see this on the hand cam without me like melting things. So basically I'm just gonna take my torch, drop my wire into my torch. Try not to melt any of my equipment. There we go, until the end of my wire melts into a little ball. I have extra balls. I broke the heather. I don't think so. I think the heather's made of sterner stuff than that.
I am. I'm still here. Counting.
You know that the heather is broken when she starts having an asthma attack because she's laughing so hard. That's when you know that I have broken the heather, or you all have broken the heather. Someone has broken the heather.
When I sound like a tea kettle from the weeping.
Exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to just curl this around
Like last night.
like last night.
Or the night before.
I think it was the night before, because
Not the night before.
last
We didn't
night
do anything last
we
night.
didn't do anything last night because I was unwell. Alright, so I like that. I think that gives it a nice balance. That makes me happy. My ball fell off.
No.
Yep. Alright, well we'll try and Alright, and then I think I'm gonna do another curly Q here, which means I need to ball up the other end of that wire. I'm gonna try to reattach my ball. First I'm gonna make another ball. So again, just take it, drop it in. I don't think Megan's that kind of doctor.
I'm sure she's heard.
So the problem here is that I'm holding my pliers too close to the end of to where I'm trying to ball up my wire. They're acting as a heat sink. They're pulling too much heat. Physics. It's a thing, y'all. Sometimes it's an incredibly pain in the ass thing, but it definitely, those are hot. Yeah, it's definitely something that you have to, when you're dealing with torches and stuff, it's gonna come and physics is going to bitch slap you multiple times when you're doing this. And in this case, I mean just the mechanics of heat sinks and, thermodynamics and all of that. see, I'm on the fence about whether I want this to be an opposing curl. No, this is better. So I'm just going to tighten this down a bit because it's really big. This is my last little embellishment. So I just have my double ball piece of wire. Yes, my wire has 2 balls. And I've turned it into a spiral. And that's going to just go now I'm just messing with it until I get something that looks not completely dorky. I'll let you know when that happens. No, we are keeping that knowledge secret from Ziggy. Plus, I mean, even if they could, I mean, his balls are long gone, so he would have to get some kind of a ball donor. If he were going to
also,
attempt.
Ziggy is one of a kind and should remain one of a kind.
Yes, that is truer words were never spoke. Okay, so I think I like this. Oh, right, exactly. Yeah, no, we don't need, yeah, no, I do not need that in my house.
Oh gosh.
No. Okay, so I think I like the proportions of this. So this is going to come up and over, and then this is just going to swirl around and kind of go underneath, and then I think I might actually maybe drop something from there. Okay, so that means that we can solder this. Not on that we can't. Solder it on here. I feel like I had my camera. Oh dear. That's no bueno. Came off of my camera came off the stool. No. Well, that's what I said, but it didn't listen. That does explain why I feel like my camera has been getting closer and closer to my work surface, though, is it's just been like leaning slowly. Yeah. So I was like, why is the focus off? I swear I focused before the stream. Why is it so close? That would be why. Okay. So now I'm going to solder there we go. Yeah, I like that. So flux everything. Grab some easy solder and my pick. Oh, yeah. I know I definitely do not want to deal with kitty cat in heat for sure. That is not fun for anyone involved. See, this is why autofocus is not my friend. Because that's what it does. That's what it do.
I don't know why it likes me.
Hey Jenny! Welcome to the stream. I'm just finishing up this project. I'm going to solder this together and reattach to the little sphere that I had soldered on here that dropped off. And then make my bail. And then we're going to be done. This is why you should flex your solder pieces, because otherwise you end up chasing them across your solder board like I just did with that one. Okay, so I've got my 2 little pieces of solder placed. Alright, and last but not least, we're going to try and reattach our ball. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some solder here, sweat some solder onto that instead of, because the back of the ball, as you can see, is a bit concave, and I think that's why it didn't, well, not I think, I know that's why it didn't stay on, is because there wasn't enough, this solder all pooled in the center of the little cavity there, which is not touching any of the metal, so therefore could not attach to it. So we're going to go ahead and put some solder there, and then we're going to put our ball on there, keeping it as far away from that bezel as we can, and then we're going to heat up That's not what was supposed to happen. Really? Come on. Alright, if this ball's not attached at this point, it's not being part of this piece. So saith the me. Alright, I'm just going to drop this on my block to cool it. The last thing I'm going to do is make my bail. So after I'm done, can you ball up the ball again to make it more flat on the bottom? You absolutely can. I could also, if I were so inclined, I could have sanded or filed the bottom of it to make it more flat. Just put some sandpaper down and rub the ball on the sandpaper until it gets flat. Yeah, I don't even know. There's no saving this stream at this point. So after I make my bail, this is going to go into my tumbler. I use a vibratory tumbler with stainless steel shot, water and burnishing soap in it. So what that does is basically it, shakes my silver around in a big mushy puddle of BBs and soap, and the action of the steel shot bashing against the silver is going to polish it. It's going to make it shiny. It's going to polish all of these little nooks and crannies a lot more easily than I could possibly do with my flex shaft. On a piece like this, if you've got the time, tumble polishing, in my opinion, is always the easiest way to go. Alright, so good news, my ball is firmly attached. All of my pieces are firmly attached, and so I'm just going to take this here and just make a little bail, which I could choose to solder shut if I want to. So I'm just going to make a little bail that's going to curve towards the back of my pendant, and I want to make it bigger than my round nose pliers. Where's my soldering punch? So I'm just going to bend that bail back and down so I have kind of a little teardrop shape. And then I could do a couple of things to finish this bail off if I wanted to. I could actually ball up the end of this and then wrap it around, or I can just solder that together. What do I want to do? I think I want to solder it. Okay, so I'm going to trim that off, I'm going to solder that together, and then that is going to be it for our Freeform Friday tutorial. Hey, Noob Sauce! Yay for, I know, right? Attached balls. Most people think attached balls are the best kind. I'm assuming the people who have the balls especially like them to be attached. So in order to solder this, there has to be contact, so I'm going to just bend that past a little bit and then butt it right up against there. Grab my soldering board one more time. Flux that And because I am a big fat chicken head, I'm going to use extra easy solder for this last joint, because after all of the trials and tribulations of the balls and everything, I definitely do not want the stupid ball to fall off of my pendant while I'm soldering this last joint. So I'm down to extra easy solder. This is the solder that flows at the lowest temperature of all the ones that I have available to me. Again, flex your solder so you don't have to chase it. Look at it. Stop running away. Get on my solder pick. Alright, I'm just going to place that at that joint. Make sure it actually does join the joint together, which I believe it did. And ta-da! Did it! I think that's pretty cool. Focus on the thing, don't focus on me. So that's my little Freeform sterling silver organic pendant. For anybody who wasn't here at the beginning of the stream, it's gonna get this stone in it. This chrome dioxide doublet is gonna get set in that pendant. It's really pretty. You should see it on the hand cam. It's a really pretty stone. So that's gonna get set in there, but after it's polished. Okay, so whenever you're doing something in metal, like the stone's always the last thing to go in permanently. Like sometimes it, you know, go in and out and in and out and in and out, so you can check the shape, check the size, etc. But it's the very last thing to go in always. So you always do all your soldering, all your forming, all your polishing, everything before your stone goes in. So this is gonna go into my tumbler. It's gonna tumble overnight. And possibly for some of the day tomorrow, I will set my stone in it, and then I will post the finished photos on all of the social media, so Facebook, Instagram, also Discord. And it will probably, if it turns out nice, I will probably also wear it on stream and show it to you guys in person. So that's it. That's our Freeform Friday stream. Thanks for hanging with me through that somewhat complicated project, but it was really fun. I'm very, very excited about it. And yes, if you're not on our Discord, we would love to have you join. Type !Discord, just like Heather just did, into the Twitch chat, and that will get you all of the fun and fabulosity of being part of the Beading Dreams Discord, including a place to share your project photos and pet photos, recipes. You know, we have all kinds of weirdo channels on there. But that's going to do it for me on this Freeform Friday stream. Again, thank you all so much for hanging out with us, with me and Heather, the voice in the background, on this Friday night stream. It is you! We'll be back on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream tomorrow, with, I think, a captured cabochon tutorial. I honestly don't remember, and I didn't download the photo, so, you know, stay tuned for something fun tomorrow night, possibly involving cabochons. And then, of course, tomorrow night we will be doing a live merchandise sale. We'll be continuing on with that new merchandise that I've acquired, so super excited about that as well. So again, thanks everyone for hanging out on Freeform Friday. My pendant and I say good night, and we will see you all tomorrow. Bye!